Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Maxace Halictus, I think is how you pronounce that, 2.0. I gotta be honest with you, I didn't know that there was a version 1 of this, but this is an interesting knife. It was sent to me directly by Maxace. Thank you so much, Maxace, for sending this in for review. I'll try and link it down below if I can. Thanks so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me. There's a link for Patreon down below as well. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. This is a big knife. Let's go ahead and measure it. Overall length of the Maxace Halictus 2.0 is coming in at about 8.75 inches. Overall blade length is coming in. Depending on where you measure it, it looks like about 3.9. And then your cutting edge is coming in at about 3.8 or so. Let's go ahead and do just a couple of size comparisons here up against the Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Ontario Rat Model 2. So you can see here, it's a big boy. Not cold steel big, but pretty big knife. How about up against the Spyderco Para 3? And finally, the Benchmade Bug Out, I think, is probably enough there. So there you go. How's the action on this guy? Whew, man, Maxace is really, really excellent when it comes to quality overall. I've handled some really impressive things from Maxace, and they are not as well known as your Best X, your Wies, your Riots, as far as, you know, like Chinese OEMs making super high quality knives. But Maxace has serious quality when it comes to things like detent strength, overall execution, and just quality of action. That is really, really nice in the action department. So very impressive. The action is very nice on this guy. Let's go ahead and do thickness, carry profile up against the Spyderco Para 3. You can see here it's really not all that thick for being a pretty big knife. About the same as the Para 3. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. You can see here it's a big boy. It's about the same overall length in body as the PM2, and in terms of height, it's also very tall because of the flipper tab. It's going to be about the same, maybe just... No, it's almost exactly the same. So if you're used to carrying the PM2, this is going to feel like the same size of object in your pocket, just a little bit heavier because, you know, I know my PM2 is a titanium, but most PM2s are G10. This guy's titanium, carbon fiber, and you guessed it, M390. So materials, let's take a look at the inside here real quick. You can get my flashlight down in the description where it talks about my tools. There's no internal milling on this guy. There are in fact, I'm almost certain, a small, like a shallow pocket milled out to accept part of this. You can see it's raised above the scale, like it would give the impression that it's like a thin piece of carbon fiber that's just sitting on top of the frame. Actually, it's probably milled, yeah, you can almost see it. It's probably a thin pocket of this sunk down in there, and then there's some adhesive or something holding the carbon fiber in place. So, you know, they didn't mill pockets on the other side because there's technically pockets on the front that, except anyways, it's probably about I'm going to guess this is 4.5 to 4.75 ounces. No, wow. It actually doesn't feel that heavy, but you know, sometimes knives throw you off. 5.36 ounces. Ratios are not perfect. They probably could have done just a little bit of milling on the inside and brought that down to maybe, if they were real lucky, and we're very, you know, thorough with the milling, they could have brought it down under 5 ounces, but okay, whatever. This is a little bit larger than I like to carry, but the weight is still within the realm of normal for me. I think for a lot of people, this is gonna be too big and too heavy, so just do with that information what you will. Let's go ahead and get out my tools and do a hardware check. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the same section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. I think the body screws are T8. Yeah, T8, etc. And I think this guy is actually, yeah, the pivot, I believe, is a T10, which is nice. There it is right there. T10 on that pivot. Yeah, T10. And then the lock bar insert screw is a T6, but I'm not going to say that that matters because we shouldn't be taking that out. Your hidden screw for the pocket clip is also likely a T6. In any case, we have minimal hardware on this guy, and it is a very simple frame lock, so it should not be difficult to take apart at all. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness. This might be the very last knife that the battery on this actually measures. There we go. Okay, sorry about that. About 150 thousandths. So about what I'd expect in terms of thickness. I really need to change the batteries in that thing. So yeah, the blade stock thickness, 150 thousandths or so. We'll talk more about the blade here in just a little bit. Is that it? Did we do everything? I think we did. So this is yet another titanium frame lock flipper running on bearings utilizing M390. Wow, we have a lot of these. And this is another example. I'm going to tell you right now, this is another example of how this is just, it's been so thoroughly perfected. I remember when, you know, I was hailing, and I still love the ZT0562. I love it. But there was a time where the action in that, at that price point, was unmatched. The ZT0, those of you who remember, you know, being in the knife world between 2012 and 2014, when the 0562 was like, oh my gosh, you can get that for $240 and made in the United States? Oh my gosh, it was just amazing, right? Now it's like, yeah, it better run like that. I'm not paying any more unless it does, right? Or I'm not gonna pay a dime more for that, right? That's commonplace, right? This is so unbelievably good. Like just the action, the detent, flipping, it's just everything you could want. It's there, right? Ergonomic lines in this guy, wow, gorgeous. Nice flat pocket clip, all these areas nicely chamfered down, but still enough there to lock you in. All those lines are in exactly the right place. This is a comfortable knife. Very easy to disengage. There's no double clutch. You can see right there. Oh, that's how we want that, right? Just like that. Right off the disengage, right off the thumb, and then you turn and, ooh, boy, that's good, right? Like so many other knives that exist are 98% of that, and this one is just right on there, right? The carbon fiber inlay, you know, I think the positioning of it's nice. I just don't like the shiny stuff, right? It just looks cheap, but they did a good job with it. The inlay work is fantastic. The fit and finish on this knife overall are just ridiculous. Honestly, at this point, I think Maxace is, like, I've handled a few things from them. I think their quality is overall better than we. I think that some of the stuff that they make is very, like, it's very indistinguishable from Riot. It's just a lot less expensive. So Maxace is one of those companies that's making me question what type of quality I expect from what companies, right? They're still a Chinese OEM, but this is just, you know, it's very plain. I know you're like, why are you going to so much detail about this? It just looks like another titanium frame lock. Maxace, those little tiny things that you pick up on, if you're like me and you handle hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of knives in a short span of time, you pick up something like this and go, God dang, you know, every last little tiny thing that could be correct about when it comes, I understand like preference and size and shape and all that, but manipulation, ease of manipulation, getting the lock bar exactly the right depth, right? The front scale, the right amount deeper than the lock bar on the other side. That cutout there, a little bit of texturing. The flipper tab, right shape, considering the weight and mass of the blade, the shape of the blade, the detent, right? All of that, just getting that all exactly right. Oof, we're there. Snap. Good stuff. Pivot's interesting. Definitely doing their own unique thing with the pivot there. Other side, same. It's just got the head in there. The blade shape reminds me a lot of the blade shape on the Riot Jack 1.5. Can't call it a copy because the blade shape is really not that you know, it's a clip point. It's kind of like a double clip point with a double swedge, right? Not Maxace or Riot, they weren't the first people to come up with that, right? But it is very similar to that blade shape, and it looks good. We have what is likely, this might be a hand rub satin finish up here, or it's just a machine horizontal satin finish. I'm honestly not sure about that. This is definitely machine belt satin finish down here. Swedge looks good. The blade overall looks great, and it is very, very sharp. This is a very, very well done blade, M390. I don't know, honestly what their heat treat is like, but I've not heard anybody complain about their M390, so I'm going to assume that they are hitting that 60 to 62 preference range when we're talking about mass-produced, right, knives like this. The final cutting edge is not thick, but it's also not thin. Comes down to a relatively, like a medium kind of, I'm going to just slice a piece of paper with it. And what I'm feeling here, I mean, any knife is going to slice. What I'm feeling is it slicing? Is it tearing? Is it doing a little bit of both? This is slicing pretty readily, not looking too much like it's fraying. So yeah, nice quality edge on a reasonably thick geometry. Feels pretty good. Sharpening choil, that's nice. No, there's no, this is the type of knife where manipulating it, sitting around and flipping it and, just over and over and over again, your hands are not going to get tired because there's no awkward, sharp areas. There's no uncomfortable zones. Everything is great. Holding it, using it, very comfortable. Just no, the ergonomic lines are really, really good. It's such a simple construction, but every opportunity they had to fail at some area of this, they got it right. Just from endless feedback from the knife community, right? When it comes to titanium Framelock flippers that run on bearings, right? This is like another one of these knives. It's just the culmination of all of that information, like what you should do and what you should not do when it comes to this style of knife. Just really good. We have a backspacer, nice frag pattern backspacer, simple, good stuff. We have a the lanyard thing is part of the backspacer, the loop, whatever you want to call this, the bar. That's good. Allows the pocket clip to do its own thing, which it absolutely is. This is a full 3D milled clip made of titanium. It is set into the titanium frame with a hidden screw underneath. That's really nice. Underneath the clip, which does have continuous rise and is nice and flat, it's a smooth surface, so it should be pretty easy to get in and out of the pocket. You might have to lift it a little bit, but really not going to be an issue. The pocket clip is great, and your carry depth is here, so that's all you're going to have sticking up out of the pocket. We have a steel lock bar insert doubling as the over treble stop, which is nice and expected. That's what it should be, right? Stop pin, nice big old fat stop pin. We do have shouldering right here. No blade play, none whatsoever. No blade play up, down, left, or right. No pivot lash, not a hint of it. Nice snappy detent. And wouldn't you know it, it's perfectly centered. In a lot of ways, it's like this thing is so, I mean, and here's the thing. So reasons not to buy this is pretty big. This is a big knife, right? I mean, either it's going to be too big for some people or it's not going to be legal, right? I know that Maxace can do a beautiful tumbled finish, and I'm as good as they do with a satin finish, right? I mean, this is really nice. There aren't any burn marks on it or anything. I still would have preferred a tumbled finish. That's a preference thing. Some people are not going to like that the flipper tab sticks out quite a ways, but the amount of leverage that you get with it, I mean, it's really only going to bother you if you carry other things in your knife pocket besides your knife, right? If you're just putting a knife in your knife pocket, then why are you complaining? It doesn't matter. There's nothing else in your pocket. We're at the point now where these styles of knives, like companies like Maxace, have so thoroughly perfected them that there's no room to progress with this style of knife anymore. All you can do is just step to the side and add more personality in this department, more personality in this department. But like the formula for this, right? Since the days of us being blown away by the 0562 from ZT, the formula is down. Knives like the Halictus 2.0 are prime examples of, you know, it's pretty much done, right? What's the price on it? Pretty reasonable considering the general competition right now. He's coming at $242. Guys, I know that that's still a lot of money, right? There are a lot of companies that are making exactly this and trying to justify $300 price tags. Don't believe me? Go to any retailer right now and look up a generic titanium Framelock flipper running on bearings. There's going to be some that are closer to, you know, $225, right? You can always find stuff that's cheaper, but you have to question, like, you know, the overall quality of the thing. Like, I've handled cheaper titanium frame locks that are available right now, like knives just like this, but they're not quite like this. They're not quite doing this, right? The overall fit and finish is not quite as impressive, right? It's not quite the same level of execution. I'm saying knives that are actually built the same way as this right now, it's not uncommon to see them at $280 to $320, and you're not really getting a whole lot more. In fact, there are knives pushing $400 right now from Chinese OEMs that are essentially delivering this. So, and you know, if Maxace starts to become extremely popular, well, guess what? The price is going to go up, right? It's just what's going to happen. Yeah, this is really good. The Halictus, it's so good, it's almost boring. I know that sounds stupid, but there's not a lot in terms of character here, right? This is just like it's just like a knife that became due to, you know, feedback, right? Of them just knowing, like, this is how this should operate. Yeah, it's real good. Anybody who decides to spend $240 on it, I think it's $242, is going to be really happy with this, right? If you're just wanting like the best production titanium Framelock flipper running on bearings using M390, truthfully, you've got hundreds of choices, but you know, this is really, really up there, right? Up there near the peak of the mountain, especially for the value one. It's really good. But you got to be, I mean, like, there's so many good knives out there that are good for so many different reasons, and there's so much character and personality to be found, right? It's, this feels a lot like, who's a good example? This is like the Henry Cavill of, you know, or like the Hollywood, like, superstar that's like, we just keep seeing the same type of like ultra masculine, like the actor is so unbelievably beautiful, or the actress is so unbelievably beautiful, or the actor is so unbelievably handsome, right? That it's like, I've seen that before, and you realize that lots of them look the same, right? In really good shape, perfect skin, you know, just like everything is just exactly right. And you start to realize that they all kind of look the same, right? The same jawline, the same eye line. It's all, you know, and you're like, ah, right? Perfect is kind of boring. It's just because it starts to just all look like the same thing, except it's a different hair color or a different eye color, right? Something like that. The Halictus is good. It's very good. It's just, it's a prime example of how tired and burnt out the world of titanium Framelock flippers is, right? If you buy this, you're going to be happy with it. It's really good, but wow. It's like, at this point, I think I'm just thoroughly bored with these types of knives. Good knife, though. This was a weird review. Thank you to Maxace for sending this in. This knife actually belongs to a patron now. But I appreciate Maxace sending this in and letting me take a look at it. It'll be going on my most recommended knives playlist. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.